Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In today's episode of the ongoing coverage of the civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, I'm going to conduct some battlefield updates, some operational updates on the ongoing conflict, and I want to talk about some reports that have been issued recently and discuss some of those recent events that cover the ongoing conflict in the region. So, first, we have been hearing some fairly significant reports, especially coming out of Amhara media, in terms of pro-Ethiopian state supporters, pro-Ethiopian government, pro-Amhara regional paramilitary, pro-Eritrean type of issue. So, first, we have been hearing reports that there was an operation by the Amhara militias, the Ethiopian military, to conduct a drive on first Lalibela. And we can confirm that any operation that may have been directed in the direction of Lalibela was unsuccessful. Lalibela, as we speak, is still in the control of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. There were again reports of fighting in the vicinity of Lalibela, especially to the west, southwest, from areas in which the Amhara regional paramilitaries are operating. We have also heard reports of a possible operation in the vicinity of Kobo, and that's there on my map as you can see it. That operation as well seemed to be coming from the vicinity of the Afar region and directed towards possibly cutting off the north-south access of forces for the Tigrayan Defense Forces heading towards Weldia and conducting operations south of Weldia, and then obviously operations west of Gashina, which you can see there on my map. But that operation was in limited scope and was apparently really designed to draw attention away from possible other conflict areas where the pressure by the Tigrayan Defense Forces is rather intense. So again, the operation by these paramilitary units, by possibly the Ethiopian military, by the Amhara militias, in terms of its operations towards Kobo, were also unsuccessful. And that has to be fully understood and clear. The next series of operations and most recent operations in terms of actions taken by the Ethiopian state is operations near Abala. And again, that is to the east of Mekelle. And again, we hear reports that regional paramilitary units were utilized to possibly infiltrate in a direction towards Mekelle. Again, we do not believe this is a tremendously large-scale operations, as I had discussed in a prior video, but there is a possibility that said operation by the Ethiopian state, by Afar militias, were active in this area, and we're continuing to monitor the situation. Again, I do not believe the city of Mekelle is threatened. I do not believe the airport, the main airbase to the east, southeast of Mekelle, is under any threat. It looks like the Tigrayan Defense Forces are aware of this activity to the east and are making arrangements to stop any said operations from further moving in a westerly direction towards Mekelle. Operations in other parts of the country in terms of activities by the Tigrayan Defense Forces also continue. We continue to see the massive mobilization of the Tigray region, and we continue to see forces of the Tigray region continue to pour into the Amhara region and shore up possessions that they have taken control over the last several months. And again, the amount of territory that has been taken, as you can see from my map here, is quite significant. And if you harken back to the early stages of the conflict, in which the entire Tigray region, with the exception of really the central Tenbian region, was occupied by these external forces, we are now looking at the Tigrayan Defense Forces on the offensive. Large parts of the Amhara region are in fact occupied by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And again, as you can see from my map, that extends from the Tigray border all the way south towards Mersa, and then obviously the other areas as well that we have talked about in past videos, ranging from Sokoto, Lalibela, Gashina, are all under the current occupation of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. The area that is currently obviously controlled by the Eritrean state, by the Amhara paramilitaries, is western Tigray and areas west of the Tekizi River, with the exception of areas north of Adi Arke. But that is the current situation on the ground in terms of ongoing activity. We anticipate, due to the continued buildups that we are seeing in the region on really both sides, the tempo of operations will start to increase probably rather significantly over the course of the next month or two. But again, keep in mind, we are also looking at the possibility of significant combat fatigue also coming into the equation. They have been fighting now, both sides realistically have been fighting for the better part of a year. And the fighting has been incredibly intense at times, and there has been heavy casualties on both sides. The casualty level is quite horrendous at times. If you really look at what is occurring and the type of fighting, the high intensity fighting that is occurring, but we continue to see just the really massive build-up underway by really both sides. And the next question is when, and if when, will the Amhara Regional Army, in support of the Ethiopian federal military, possibly be ready to launch some sort of counteroffensive in the Amhara region. And I'm talking a widespread counteroffensive, a broad spectrum counteroffensive designed to reclaim many of the areas that are currently under the control of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And we simply do not know when that is going to be. Again, we've seen these limited operations take place towards Lalibela, towards Kobo, near and north of Dese, and then obviously near Abala, up further way up north. But we have not seen the type of focused, broad spectrum operations where you see multiple divisions, multiple brigades being utilized in a manner that would be effective in a large-scale offensive operation. And again, we believe that to be the case because the capability is simply not there at this point. The Ethiopian, this triple alliance, suffered significant casualties and significant degrade in force since its time inside of the Tigray region. The casualties that occurred in the Tenbian region, the operational tempo launched by the Tigrayan Defense Forces towards the end of when those forces were evicted, inflicted a tremendous toll on the forces of the Ethiopian state and the Amhara regional paramilitaries and even the Eritrean military. And then further compounding that was that massive offensive that took place after that occurred, that penetrated deep into the Amhara region and took control of all this territory. And now the prospect of having to fight and possibly win all that territory back is fairly ominous for the Amhara regional militias, for the Ethiopian state. In all probability, from a leadership perspective, they are looking at the challenge ahead of them and are probably asking whether they can or cannot achieve this mission. And that is just in terms of reclaiming this territory that was lost prior in recent events. And then you also look at the stage that's being set by the political leadership inside of Ethiopia, by the Prosperity Party, by Abiy Ahmed, and his talk of reinvading the Tigray region. And we're, unfortunately for the Ethiopian military, the Amhara military, they're not at the stage yet where they have the capability of even retaking lost land in the Amhara region. And they're looking at the question of launching another invasion of the Tigray region against a fully mobilized and fully motivated Tigrayan defense forces. That would be even a more challenging operation than what occurred in late 2020. And I would imagine that the military leadership inside of the Ethiopian state is not looking forward to said operation. And that could lead to some interesting circumstances occurring when you start to see elements of the Ethiopian military start to not agree with some of the political actions or military actions being directed by the Ethiopian state, such as another invasion of the Tigray region, which in all probability we have no reason to believe would be unsuccessful again based on what we have seen. But they do appear to be, in terms of the Ethiopian military does appear to be heading towards that course in terms of preparation, in terms of talk, in terms of positioning itself, in terms of what it is messaging, that what their intent is going to be in the future. That would appear to be talk of some sort of operation at some point going back into the Tigray region. Now, again, we do not think that is possible here at the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. We think we will continue to see these smaller types of operations that may be successful on a limited scale, and then see that success be turned around and then lost again. And we've seen that happen again and again. But the idea of a large-scale offensive operation by hundreds of thousands of Ethiopian forces back into the Tigray region simply is something that is probably not going to occur at this stage. Again, significant buildup, significant preparation would have to continue, and we're probably talking again months and months, if not a year plus, before that ability is there. And then there's other situations on the ground as well that's occurring, such as what is occurring inside of the Oromo region. Again, really chaotic situation ongoing. As you can see from the map, the red is what is in control of by the federal government of Ethiopia. The yellow is what is under the control of the Oromo Liberation Army or the ongoing fighting. And again, as I talked about in the previous video, we're seeing areas that are just completely under the control of the Oromo Liberation Army, where they are confident enough to basically have graduation ceremonies in the open, and they're not worried about airstrike or drone strike or anything of the sort, or any sort of ground operation. And you would think that Ethiopian intelligence services would be aware of these graduation ceremonies. They would be aware that these sort of things are occurring, and would look to intervene and possibly launch an operation while something like this is occurring. But they don't have that capability. They simply don't, or I would assume that they would do it, but they're not doing it. And if you're on the side of the Ethiopian state as it currently exists as a city-state in Addis Ababa, then that should concern you. There is a greatly diminished capability or seemingly desire at this point to really focus on the OLA, and they probably just don't have that ability to focus on the OLA at this point because of what's going on further north. But we will continue to monitor the situation and report as events warrant. I have another video planned soon, and I'll have that to everyone as soon as possible. Have a great day, everybody.